The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Coming from our collective caves to your dank dwellings, this is Cave Dweller Music. I'm Matt. We have on the line with us James and Brendan. Gents, how are we?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Doing rather well. And Brendan, we can't leave you out of the call. How's it going on your
I'm
end?
doing very well. Thank you so much.
No, it's no worries. It's always a pleasure to jump on the line with you guys. So yeah, this is Cave Dweller Music, the first of what should be many podcasts. It's basically going to be James, Brendan, and myself. We'll go through, we'll run down albums that have come out, ones that are coming up, which were awesome. Seeing as it is our first one, we're kind of going to do a little bit of just general housekeeping, introducing the page for people that don't know it, talking about who we are and why the hell we're doing this. It's not just an ego trip. We actually do genuinely like music. So first and foremost, James, this was your brainchild. So give us a little bit of a heads up on how Cave Dweller Music, or as people in the know might know, what it was called before then.
So basically, I was sitting on the couch. This was during COVID lockdown. Everyone was a bit bored. And I messaged Matt, and I was like, hey, man, do you want to maybe start a music page or a music group? Because you and I talk music a stupid amount every day, honestly, way too much. And I think other people could benefit from how much we talk music. He said yes. So I slapped together a really basic Facebook group, which is actually a private group, which is still in existence, just name changed. And it was originally called Not Your Grandfather's Music Posting Group, which was kind of a stupid inside joke between Matt and I. And a couple of people found it pretty funny, but most people were like, why is your group called that? And then we actually attached a page to it because we realized you couldn't really invite people or find new followers by just having a group initially. The page, we ended up doing some reviews on there, like music reviews for a couple of smaller bands. And people started to take notice. We started getting a few followers. More bands started reaching out to us. And we actually started blowing up. So I decided one day, I said to Matt, maybe we should change the name. And we actually had a dude who runs another page who reached out to us and said, hey, you guys have some potential. Maybe look at changing it to something more serious. And we did. So that is how we became Cave Dweller Music. And as of today, we cracked 1,000 likes.
Go us.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to lie. Not Your Grandfather's Music Posting page was pretty damn good, but to be able to bring it back to the old knuckle-dragging caveman riffs, which is just such a beautiful music meme, I think it's worked out rather well.
I think so too, definitely. It kind of represents what we listen to and what we're about a bit more.
And then, so that was us running it for a little while, and then there was this really cool dude that would always post in the page, and James and I basically every time he posted something, we're like, dude, this guy, he's got his finger on the pulse. He knows exactly what good metal is. And that is the third gentleman on this call, Brendan.
Hello.
So yeah, I think you and James can kind of go through. It was, from what I can gather, it was a pretty simple way of getting you into the group. But yeah, tell us how you became one of the three main cave dwellers.
So for me, I was kind of in the same situation as James in lockdown with everybody in the world. And I had found myself on Facebook more trying to find like new music. And I stumbled upon Not Your Grandfather's, and I was like, whoa, this guy's got a lot of potential. And so I just was like, these guys got to hear this band. All right. And then I'm going to just slap them with another band. And I just kept going from there. And I was just like, oh, these guys got to hear this, And then after all of that posting, James was like, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but if you want to help us out, we have so much content that we need help. And I was like, all right, I've got nothing going on, man. So I'll give a crack at it and let's go. I love music. So sending out love to everybody is really not a hard thing to do. So it was just natural.
And then it was only like last week, if not the week before, that one, I think it was your first review as well, popped up on the Cave Dweller music page. What was the review that you did first?
For Turkey Vulture, local band to me
That's it.
in Connecticut.
Also, a bloody terrifying creature. James was saying there's a few turkey vultures getting around near where he lives. And my God, man, like birds are terrible at the best of times, but who the fuck decided they were?
It's not just near; they fly over our backyard.
Oh, they're out here too, and they've got great big wingspans, man. They're like 5 feet across. Some of them.
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, terrified of birds at the best of times. Like I got bomb dived by a series of plovers the other day, and that's just the worst thing. And then magpies, it is swooping season here in Australia, so basically I'm walking around like a dickhead carrying a huge stick every time I got to go out for a walk. But enough about our terrified.
Actually, no, don't move on from that one. Just quickly explain to our listeners who are not from Australia what swooping season is.
Oh God, yeah, I completely forgot. It's just a really terrible time of year in Australia from about like September, August to like October, November. You basically can't do anything about it, right? Like you're just walking down the street and then you just hear this flapping and then there's always a click. And basically it's whenever magpies or plovers are nesting and they've just laid their eggs, they're all, trying to be parental, trying to be like cute mum and dad birds. But for some reason, being cute mum and dad birds also means bomb diving every poor bastard that walks past. Like it would have looked ridiculous to the outside eye. But I went down to the cricket nets the other day, and I was like, "Oh man, I've got nothing to do. I've got the afternoon off work. I'll go down and get a bit of sun, get a bit of exercise in." And then there was these plovers that just came at me for a good half an hour straight. So I'm sitting there with like a cricket bat in hand, trying to grab all my stuff because I'd stupidly spread it all around this patch of grass while these plovers are bomb diving me. And yeah, basically from September through till about like November, you're just kind of going to accept that birds are going to be swooping you.
So I got two really quick anecdotes about that. One of those is one of the funniest times I ever got swooped by a magpie. I was closing my front door and I got slapped in the back of the head and turned around and said, "Oi, fuck off." And I thought it was one of my housemates. And I turned around and there's a magpie directly in my face. It's got me at my front door, back of the head. The other quick one is back in college, we actually used to play a game with the plovers where we had a Nerf Mega Hurler. Do you remember those?
I do.
We would get really drunk at night and then throw it as far out we could in the field. And then we took turns having to run and get it, being swooped by plovers in the dark.
Bloody USQ college, hey. So that's basically us and how we got involved in Cave Dweller music. I think we should bring it back a little bit and sort of, if we haven't checked out the website, it's got a brief bio up there as well. Definitely go do that. Just dropped today. James basically nutted this thing out in 24 hours. And I tell you what, it could be the fact that I'm absolutely techno illiterate, but the man's done a really bang up job. It's definitely worth checking out.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Thank you.
But yeah, let's bring it back and sort of talk individually about who we are and how we got involved into more extreme kinds of music, sort of heavier stuff. And I think a really good way of doing that is you guys would obviously have a gateway record into heavy music, right?
Definitely.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's do a bit of a whip around. Brendan, we'll start with you, man. What was your gateway record into heavy music?
I was a teenager, and it was Earth Crisis, Gomorrah Season's End.
Oh, you can't see it because it's, obviously it's audio, but I'm fist pumping so hard. Dude,
Yeah.
I only got into Earth Crisis
I remember listening to it as like, a young impressionable teen, and I'm just like, wow. These motherfuckers are just on fire. They're speaking, like, their lyric content is just, it's great, like they're just motivated. They're positive, it was everything that I kind of needed. And just so heavy, I
couldn't, like, it took me up until, I think it was this year to really get into to Earth Crisis, and I think it was Machines. I can't remember the full name, but that was the one that got me into it. And then
that was their first Roadrunner record, I think.
And you listen back and you kind of like, dude, every metalcore band after this basically rips off Earth Crisis.
Oh yeah, those guys were the pioneers for sure. I think even Hatebreed took a little lesson from them.
Oh man, Hatebreed's another one that I haven't listened to in ages. But yeah, it was
they're
and then
metal
even
now. Like it's just they evolved.
And then even going back, like shit, like I went back and recently revisited Judge, Youth of Today, Cro-Mags. I only got into recently, and I'm just sort of like, man, I've been sleeping on this Youth Crew era hardcore so damn hard.
It's so good, and now at this time, they're all becoming classics.
They are. I just when we mentioned there, I was like, wow, how long ago did Gomorrah's come out? And it's like, it's bordering on being 20. Oh no, it has been. It's over 20 years since that came out. That's insane to me. That album's like a year younger than I am.
Yeah, man. I mean, when that came out, I was banging my head to it. My mom is like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Read the lyrics, Ma. This is awesome."
And I think only, James, you've only sort of got back into Earth Crisis and this kind of stuff recently, is that the case?
I kind of never went through the hardcore phase, and I've been slowly...
I know, you used to give me so much shit for
Look,
it too.
I'll be honest, when I met you, you were a straight edge hardcore kid, and I was the one...
Now, look how far we've come.
I converted you to liking black metal.
And that's what's ruined basically any metal with clean vocals from here on out for me. But what was your gateway record into heavy music?
When I say more alternative first. I mean, I was kind of like early 13, and someone played me System of a Down, and being 13, I thought it was the coolest stuff I've ever heard. And then it was a really slippery slope from there. So very shortly after that, I was super into Nile. And Nile was actually the first really, really heavy band that I got into. So extreme music-wise, the first band that I got into was actually Nile with the album Annihilation of the Wicked.
Whoa. Yeah, that's a tight album, man.
It is. Lash to the Slave Stick and Sacrificing to Sebek, those songs were my jam.
I had to actually Google it because I don't think I've listened to Nile before.
Oh,
wow.
Dude.
On that. Those albums are just as old, man. They're getting up there.
Yeah.
I know. What is it? When was the 2005? That doesn't seem right. I'm just doing a bit of Wikipediaing in the background, but yeah, and there we go. Is this what was that what sparked your long-standing love for all things death metal?
Well, I heard some other stuff that I really liked before that, but that was the first truly, really heavy, extreme stuff that I got into, and then following that, I went back and I rediscovered all the classics, and I fell in love with Obituary, Deicide, Bolt Thrower, all the good stuff.
Bolt Thrower.
Yeah, but
yes, the only band to ever make Warhammer not incredibly lame.
They do it justice, that is for sure.
They do. It was one of those bands that, like, I remember listening to. It wasn't the Fourth Crusade. It was like a couple of records before that, and as soon as I put it on, I was like, "Where has this been all my life?" It's just so.
Which track by them really goes off? World Eater.
Oh yes, please. I'll just go through. I'll try and find that which Bolt Thrower record it was that just absolutely blew my mind. But while I'm doing that, funnily enough, and I think James sort of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but we'll go like regular metal first and then we'll go into extreme. But the first metal record that I ever sort of was like, dude, where has this been all my life? Was Ashes of the Wake.
Really?
Good old Lamb of God.
Oh yeah. Great album.
Kind of haven't really, I think it was after Sacrament they died in the arse a little bit, but man, those first three Lamb of God records are just primo, chef's kiss thrown out everywhere.
Oh yeah,
and a great anecdote that you might appreciate. I think I've told James this one before, but I was working in the middle of Brisbane City, and I think it was like the same day that Lamb of God were touring. I don't think they were touring with Metallica, but they were opening up for someone.
Slayer? Was it the Slayer tour?
I think it might have
But
been.
I cut them for
but
that, man. That was bananas.
it was really bizarre having Randy from Lamb of God buying Bond's underwear while you're serving him. You kind of like when you're behind the microphone, I'm terrified of you, but you buy underwear like everyone else. I guess everyone does.
Yeah, man. Everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, bro.
I love the little bit of an appropriation from a Tina Belcher quote. Gets me right in the heart. But in terms of records that got me into extreme metal, dude, it has to be Transylvanian Hunger. Like, I think that was probably the first black metal record that I listened to, and I was like, I've never heard anything like this before. I need to listen to basically everything from this genre. And it was like, obviously I'd heard Mayhem a couple of times before in like 2012-ish,
Mhm.
but it wasn't until Transylvanian Hunger where I'm like, okay, this isn't as goofy. And like the vocals, I don't know how to describe it. Just it sounds evil is the best way
I
to
actually
describe
remember
it.
when you did that because you hit me up and you said, dude, I finally get it. Hit me with some links. And I think I sent you like 100 albums or something in like a 24-hour period.
Something like that. Yeah, it was just that thing where it's like that first sort of, I don't know, that weird claw chord that they play, and it's really fast strumming where everything sort of sounds like one note, but it's just a whole bunch of really sharp. Oh, I'm getting chilled. I'm gonna have to go listen to this after we finish up, to be honest. So that's the stuff that got us into extreme metal, and we're obviously in the year 2020. Everything's sort of fallen out the arse. But in saying that, there's been quite a few heavy releases to come out this year, and just let me get my list of them up, because I basically am that kind of music nerd where I've actually written down every record that I've listened to so far this year. I don't know if I can nail it down. The first one that I sort of saw was Peril by Nervesore, which is just,
that was a killer album.
it was so good, man. And I'll have to go through. But while I'm doing that, what was some of your favorite records to come out this year?
Definitely Nervesore was one of them. You and I did that combined top 10 list, and we both picked that.
Did.
Oranzi Pazuzu was actually one of my tops. That was a killer album. If you guys haven't heard that yet, definitely check that out.
Should definitely go check it out.
Definitely worth listening.
Brendan, what about you? What have you got this year?
I really loved Torture Tomb. It was just amazing. So heavy, so fast, and just dirty. Great like blend of old school death metal with like such a new flair and sound to it.
And I think I'll actually have to put in iFly's Tub of Lard. It basically sounds like a Melvin's tribute record, but it's got one of the guys from Full of Hell, and there's a couple of other like notable hardcore band members that have jumped over onto this one as well. But oh man, it's so good. It's so filthy. Like the bass tone is somehow louder than the guitar, but the guitar is dirtier than the bass. And it's just one of those really disgusting meshes of that like sludge. It's definitely go check that one out as well. I'm just going over here. What else have we had that's come out this year?
I'm going to add in Joint Hugger. If you guys have heard that album, release, that was phenomenal.
What else we got? Primitive Man.
I was about to say that. Wow.
That was killer.
Wow.
I was kind of surprised I wasn't surprised. I was interested to see what they would do once, like off the back of Caustic, because man, that album's just terrifying.
It is.
Like
It's so
being physically assaulted by music, but somehow they went even heavier, but also catchier. How you balance the two, I've got no idea.
That second track on the album is like the audio equivalent of a horror movie with just tension that goes from the very beginning to the very end without dissipating. And right in the middle, you get some vocals, but the same like sort of pitched music just doesn't stop the whole way through.
And I was going to say horror movies. James, do you remember a little group called Hallowed Butchery?
Yes, that was actually one of my top for the year too. I almost forgot that one.
Yeah, you can't forget that album.
So we need to thank Brendan for that, because he was the dude that actually put us onto that.
Well, Brendan, seeing as this was your great find, do you want to talk us through it a little bit?
Sure. So a friend of mine got me onto this. He was like, "You got to check this out," and I was like, "All right, what do you got here?" And death songs from the hymnal of the what are we calling this? The hymnal church. And basically, this guy spent 10 years living with a death cult out of Maine, and eventually got like the scriptures written into song. And he's just a one-man band, which I truly appreciate. All that kind of stuff. That DIY is just so important, I think, with music. And this guy, he put literally his heart and soul into this, and it's so like just genuinely evil,
Yeah, definitely. That is, it's kind of a. Matt and I both listen to it, and I listen to it by myself in bed at night in the dark, and it makes you a little paranoid.
Oh, it's so good. I listened to it on a bike ride the other day, and I just forget how, like, towards the end of the album, where he's got, like, the acoustics going on, and they're singing, and it's just like, oh, you just feel so good. I think the song is On the Altar is what I'm talking about, and it's so good.
Oh, yeah.
It's the last song on the album.
It's the only thing that I can liken it to is anything that the Body have put out. But even then, it kind of does make the Body seem catchier and a little bit more poppy. And if anyone can make the Body sound like a pop band, you know that you're putting out some absolutely disgusting stuff.
Absolutely.
Death to All as well. That track 4, Death to All. That one is
that's the
that is
longest
crushing.
track on the album too. Or no, Evergloom's by a few seconds, but nonetheless.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but he's signed to Aesthetic Death, who we received a bunch of albums from recently from the label on Stew. And he signs a lot of really experimental, really dark, really cool bands. So if you guys out there haven't looked into Aesthetic Death's discography, definitely check it out. It's worth a listen.
Absolutely. I love how they have like a little bit of electronic feel to it, but it's still organic.
Yeah, a lot of his stuff is like that. It's that other band of his, Pando. We reviewed their album as well.
Yeah.
That is some really experimental stuff right there as well.
Well, I can't go past Shabolba. I'm not going to try and pronounce the album because it is in a derivative of Spanish. But man, it's basically Bolt Thrower Worship, but with a whole bunch of like really heavy hardcore influences, which is a great mix of like old school death metal and beatdown parts. And I've been a fan of. I've had Shabolba in my orbit for a little while. Man, it was one of those records where I sort of like found out about them ages ago, knew that they were a band for a little while, and then I saw something pop up and I was like, I haven't checked these guys out for a little while. But man, when I did, I was very glad that I paid them a revisit.
I think I actually sent that album through to you because I was on a run and I listened to it. I was like, oh my God, this is Bolt Thrower Worship that Matt will love.
You're not wrong. If you get the chance, check out their video for Cold, and it looks like the single best house party ever. I think it's Cold, but basically all they're doing is like frying up a whole bunch of meat. There's a house show they're all playing in their room. It's pretty damn cool.
One more album I have to mention that I just remembered for our top list. Do you remember the album I sent you by the Crooked Whispers, Satanic Melodies?
Oh yes. I was on my way to work and I listened to that. It's like a 45-ish minute drive, and oh my God, it's so good. It's so crusty, but like, I don't. Crusty is probably the best way of describing it.
I would call it slimy.
I like the adjective
because it kind of sounds like a slimier version of Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, maybe mixed with some Weed Eater.
Oh, look, it's anytime you mention Weed Eater, you've got my attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, those dudes are fantastic. I saw them with Conan in Wellington with a hangover, and my head almost exploded, but it was worth the pain. And that was a fantastic gig.
I bet that would be amazing to see. Those Southern sludge bands are so good.
Definitely.
I was going to see them when they came through Brisbane a while ago, but I was, poor fucking broke boy, and I was like, damn, $60 for a ticket. I can't afford that. I'm too poor.
I actually told Matt a story about them recently that he hadn't heard. I don't know if you've heard this either, Brandon, but the lead singer actually shot his own toe off with a shotgun.
Jesus.
and they had to postpone a
Oh
bunch
yeah, I remember you sent me through. That's so funny.
They had to postpone recording by a while, delay the whole album coming out.
Yikes.
It's not a weed eater story, but James and I both have pretty good Conan stories. When I was living out in the middle of nowhere doing some work at a radio station out there, I was like, one afternoon, I was like, dude, I've got nothing else going on. There's a pub like an hour and a half away. I'm going to drive out and see it. You know, got out there, no worries. Went to the pub, had a look at the cemetery, and then I was kind of like, well, I'm tired, and had a nap in the back of my car. So anyway, I was driving home listening to Conan, and the roads in outback Australia, to call them roads is a little bit of an overstatement. What they basically are is a flat as possible path, just filled with a fucking shit ton of rocks. So I was cruising along, listening to Conan, like drinking a coffee, and I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Hit a bad point in the road, and my car started going sideways, and I was like, wow, this isn't going to go well. And then rolled my car, and well, obviously I'm still alive, thankfully, but yeah, I basically listened to Conan all the way back as well. So good band to roll your car to.
I would say.
I believe it. I believe it. Is it? What do they call themselves?
They're caveman
battle hymns.
Caveman battle hymns.
I believe that's it.
Oh man, I didn't know that. That's just made me love them even more.
Yeah, those guys are fantastic.
Well, that's sort of a bit of a recap of the 2020 we've had so far. There's a ton of awesome bands that we've got going on there. But let's have a little bit of a look ahead. Let's get around our crystal cave dwelling ball and having a look what's going on. What are some of the records coming out in the remainder of 2020 that you guys are keen to wrap your ears around?
Ooh.
So all of us were talking about this band right before this call, and I think we have to mention them. There is a new release coming by Zeal and Ardor.
Yes, that's going to be a lot of fun, man. Those guys really...
I haven't been converted over to that train as of yet, but I'm expecting a whole bunch of hate because of it.
I don't
And
mind.
you deserve it.
I like it. I'm going to say it. I like it.
No, I love it. That is one of my favorite bands and one of the best live shows I have been to.
Yeah, you were really high when you saw it. Well, I don't know if you were high or not, but you were really high on the show when you went to go see it.
I was not high, but I was high on the show. It was fantastic, though. It was one of those gigs where I actually sat down because I went alone because someone bailed on me and just had a beer and just listened to the music. And it had a ton of atmosphere. And honestly, the quality of the performance sounded equal to, or if not better than, the album version, which is something you don't often get with live performances.
You do.
I know if you can get bands that sound as good, if not better, on stage, you're doing something right there.
That's it for me. That's what did it. I mean, I always really liked them, and then I saw them live, and then I loved them.
Oh.
You saw that at Crowbar, didn't you?
I saw no, actually, your least favorite venue, the Bright Side, the one.
Oh no, the one that killed Crowbar.
Yeah, the wrong kid died.
Damn.
The wrong kid died. Damn it.
It's a classic movie
Oh,
reference.
man.
Awesome.
Love it. So we got Zeal and Ardor. I'm just having a look here.
Yeah,
We're actually going to be having a review for the new Idols record on the Cave Dweller music page as well in the next, fortnight or so?
Is it
So
that
keep your eyes
close?
peeled for that.
I actually forgot about that, and now that you've mentioned it, I am so excited for it.
Oh, man. Joy is an Act of Resistance, I remember, was your favorite or one of your favorite records the year it came out.
Definitely, I had that thing on repeat. I don't know if you remember at the bachelor party when we were blasting that on that boat going down that little canal with all those people in mansions.
Oh, and the guy had an anti-aircraft gun in his back, driveway. I don't know.
Yeah, he did. He had a cannon and a helipad in his house. But we also blasted Slefford Mods, which was hilarious because we were cruising through like $2 million homes on a boat with a bunch of drunk dudes blasting Slefford Mods. And if you haven't heard them, it's some of the trashiest music that's ever been made.
It's the chabbiest music that's ever been made, and I am absolutely here for it because it's fantastic.
It is fantastic. So if you guys haven't heard them, check out Slefford Mods. It's an interesting listen, and no one else sounds quite like them.
Nice.
Definitely go do that. Who else have we got? I don't know if you guys are a big fan of Paul Bearer, but Paul Bearer have a new album coming out about mid-October, which I'm really keen on.
I am.
Also, keep an eye out on the page for that one there. We'll have a review. What else have we got coming out a little bit later on in the year? Let's see what we've got here.
Oh, there's one very soon, actually, which I am excited for. I don't know if you guys have heard this. I actually probably haven't. We got sent through an early release copy from Cursed Monk Records. It's on the website. Just bring it up. It's by a band called Couch, and the album is called Tased by a Bum.
I already like it. That sounds absolutely ridiculous.
So that will be out next month, I believe.
Nice.
Apparently, there's also a new Mr. Bungle record coming out later on in the year.
There is, and that is also very exciting.
That's going to be probably an instant classic.
Well, I only know that one song, and I can't remember the name of it, but is it Girls on Film or Girls of Porn? It's one of the two.
I think the first one, Girls on Film.
Yeah, that's the only Mr. Bungle song that I've ever heard, and I'm guessing that's a pretty good indication of what the band sound like.
I would say so. Actually, I can't say that because Mr. Bungle is one of those bands where every single song sounds completely different, and the entire album is not one genre.
All right. It's Mike Patton music, isn't it?
I want to say yes, but I don't actually know for sure on that one.
All right, because I'm pretty sure. Well, the other thing is as well, anytime you get Mike Patton doing vocals for a band, you know that you're in for something interesting. Yeah, okay, it is
Mike Patton. Yeah, it is Mike Patton.
He's done so much stuff. Like I remember going through uni, everyone was like really high on Mike Patton, and you kind of go and listen to some of the other stuff that he's done. You kind of like, this dude really just doesn't care. He's got like one of those fucking crazy creative minds that anything he touches basically turns to gold.
Oh, definitely. I mean, even if you look at like Faith No More alone, the amount of like variety and different stuff he tries just with that band alone.
Good. I love those. Like all of their albums are so good, man.
Fantastic. Have you guys seen them live?
I never.
Yeah, I saw him at Soundwave ages ago.
Me too. I was at that Soundwave as well.
Wait, which one was that?
That was the same one with System of a Down, I believe.
And we didn't catch up with each other?
I guess not.
Damn, all right. Well, I remember it was like, who else was it? I think it was like Anna Shikari, Cavell Attack before they became Dad Rock, Trash Talk. I think Terror also played that one, if I'm not mistaken. And God, do I love some Terror.
Terror is fantastic.
I was going to say, I'm really looking forward to Jupiterian coming out on this Friday. It's going to be so good. Proto-Sapien.
Oh, actually, Brendan, you actually reminded me of this one just by saying that. We have Resin coming out. New Resin album.
So good.
So, give you some dates. I believe Resin is the 1st of October, and that Couch one I mentioned is 2nd of October.
Yeah. Jupiterian is coming out September 11th.
The other record that I'm super keen to come out is the new Lamp of Murmur.
Yeah.
It's really rare to find modern black metal that isn't basically 90s second wave worship or black gaze. Which is basically just Death Heaven, and James and I, opinions on Death Heaven that I think a lot of people do share. But man, Lamp of Murmur, they make that old 90s sound, but make it modern and interesting. I think it could be on par with the Departure Chandelier record that came out last year.
The only issue I have with them is just it's a bit hard to find their stuff to listen.
Oh, dude, I think that YouTube channel is the only one that actually shares their stuff. Like even on their Bandcamp, they'll only have 1 or 2 tracks. I think it's Order of Dark Crafts is the YouTube channel that posts all of their stuff. But yeah, if and when we get a full stream of that one there, very much looking forward to it.
I got another one for you as well. October 30th, we have a new Deadhead album. I don't know if you guys know who Deadhead is or not.
I do not, but do
sounds
tell
familiar
us
to
more.
me.
80s, I want to say 80s or early. Sorry, I should say early 90s. Like one of the first wave death metal bands, bringing out a new album all these years later. So you guys should probably check them out if you haven't yet. I'll send you a link after this.
Please do.
The new album's going to be called Kill Division, and that is end of October. So that will be exciting for anyone who likes Deadhead. And we got one more. I think, Brendan, you mentioned this one the other day. It was, where is it? Revolting. The Shadow.
Withering Shadows.
Yes.
Yes, baby. That is going to be so good.
Apparently, there's also a new Carcass record coming out in late October.
Really? We missed that one. That was, I guess that makes sense because they released those new singles a while back. So it's been a while since they'd said anything about it.
Holy crap. Do they have new singles out? I was just going through the spreadsheet in front of me and I was like, okay, Carcass coming out on Napalm makes sense. I had no idea that they already had singles out, and I feel bad for sleeping on it.
Withering Shadows, Flash Magic of the Harspec is actually released. 21st came out.
Beautiful. It seems like we've got a whole bunch of really good records still to come later on in the year. And the other thing is as well, this is just sort of our what we've got lined up and what we've got in front of us. I've no doubt that by the end of the year, we'll have found more records that we didn't even know were coming out just sort of through the usual channels.
Yeah,
exactly. We've got a lot. The ones we're kind of lining up here is ones that we've been made aware of by labels or people we know type thing. So there's a lot more to come.
Speaking of things to come, James, you've got a few interviews lined up and raring to go. Like once this podcast comes out, once it's all edited and tickety-boo, you'll already be on the way to getting some more interviews done.
I will. We've got a few things lined up. There's no definite dates yet, so don't expect to know exactly when it's coming out. We don't yet ourselves. First up, I believe we have Eric from Misanthropic Records. He is the owner and runs that label, and we've been working very closely with them, if you guys are aware of that. We actually have an official partnership with that label. Brendan is actually helping out. It's a partnership between the two of us. We're actually making a batch of beer for those guys, if you guys weren't aware. And Brendan's going to be doing the brewing on this one. He brews bigger batches than I do. And we're going to be doing some custom labels for the band. So, Brendan, I think maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you're brewing.
So my plan for these guys is a dry hopped double rye IPA. It is going to be absolutely delicious. It's going to be a strong one. I'm hoping to hit around 8 ABV. It's amazing. I just actually got all of the ingredients today. Got them all fresh bottles. So everything is going to be really nice.
And one thing I should just clarify is that we do not have an alcohol license, liquor license, so we are not selling these. These are a gift to Misanthropic. And
dude, lawyers were already pricking up their ears, being like, "What? They're selling these beers?"
I thought we should just point it out because we haven't said it anywhere on our website or on our page. Yeah, we're not selling these, but they are a gift. So what we're doing actually is custom labels. So we have a Misanthropic label, I have the Cave Dweller label, and then we're actually going to do some custom labels for the bands that are signed to the label as well. So everyone's pretty excited. Should be a cool little project.
Yeah.
The next interview we have is going to be with Nicholas Turner. He is someone that we've worked very closely with on this page since we sort of became a page. For those who don't know, Nicholas Turner is based in LA. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He records his own stuff. He produces it and distributes it. He actually has a little studio set up at his house that he puts a lot of it through in. And given that fact, it sounds fantastic. I mean, he does do studio work with other stuff, but a lot of it he just does himself. He's got multiple projects. We've covered Obsidian Hooves, which was some death metal of his. We covered Nothing Is Real, 2 of their albums. Well, every album's slightly different, but it's experimental doom with some other elements brought in. The last album was actually death metal and doom. And the previous one was dark country blues and doom, which Matt would enjoy because he is super into country music, if you guys did not know that.
Look, I do have to clarify this, and funnily enough, I was watching something the other day which called out hipsters for liking outlaw country. But yeah, outlaw country is my shit. Give me some Willie Nelson. Give me some Colter Wall. The Highwaymen, yes, please, and thank you, and Charlie Crockett. So we're not all about worshiping Satan here. Sometimes we just want to be sad and listen to sad songs.
And myself personally, I do like country, but I'm more into the dark country and the gothic country stuff. So just to not get too far off topic, he's also been involved in Feral Lord, who we covered. So that was a raw black metal project, and we can actually cover one today of his, which was Schizo Christo, which brought back a vocalist who hasn't been in anything for 25 years until he did this project. Came out of retirement just to work with Nicholas Turner, which is pretty cool. Anyway, we'll be covering him. He'll be on the show talking about what it's like to be a multi-instrumentalist who produces his own music and talk about some of his projects.
I'm just going through our Bandcamp, which you should definitely check out as well, seeing what stuff is up there that we haven't already checked out. But yeah, I think that's kind of everything that we wanted to cover so far today in our first little installment of this chat. We'll try and make this a regular thing, but before we wrap up, I'm going to be chatting about the social medias. James will be able to give you a bit more direction on where to go if you want to submit stuff and what to send it through. Obviously, the website, cavedwellermusic.net, is your go-to. There's also the Facebook page, Cave Dweller Music. Give that a like. If you do want to get involved in the community that is starting to blossom up, post some of your own music across, or even discover some new stuff like with Brendan and how he sort of became a part of this group. It is Cave Dweller Music Group. There's a link off the Facebook page as well. And James, if people did want to get in touch via email, via any other sort of avenues, how would they go about doing so?
So there's a couple of ways they can do that. We have an actual email address they can send it to, which is cavedwellermusic@metalfan.com. But what might be simpler is if they just go to our website, there's actually a contact page, and at the bottom of our homepage, there's a contact form there as well. That would be an easy way for bands to submit themselves for review or interviews. And if you have any questions, just in general, feel free to contact us that way. We do actually also respond pretty quickly on Facebook if you want to message us through the page. So there's that avenue as well. But please, it's easier for you guys if you want to submit content to do it via an email than through Facebook Messenger.
And that's basically everything that we wanted to line up, gents. It's bizarre as fuck to me that we're scattered across 3 different parts of the globe. You two are a little bit closer to each other. But yeah, it's pretty impressive how heavy music can bring 3 blokes together across several oceans.
One more thing before we do go, I just remembered. On our website, we now have our playlists for the last 4 months. So those playlists are Spotify playlists, and we have included, as long as it's on Spotify, because a lot of stuff we cover isn't, but what we could cover, 1 song from every album we've reviewed each month on those playlists. So if you wanted to see what we're about, what we review, and what we listen to, those are a great way to do it, really.
And as much as I do love going through bands that are on Bandcamp, it does make it kind of hard to add it into a playlist when you're trying to go across 4 different platforms, and then there's only stuff that comes out, like we mentioned with Lamp of Murmur, on 1 track on Bandcamp, and then the rest is uploaded to some random fucking YouTube account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wonderful, gents. Well, that is us wrapped up. As always, it's a pleasure chatting to you, and we'll do it again soon, no doubt.
Definitely. And so next up, before we chat again, we should have an interview or 2, and then it'll be us catching up probably.